Something I've been doing lately is I've been going back and watching movies that are now old movies, but that I remember because I'm old. You know, when you've lived long enough, you can see a movie that's deemed an old movie, a nostalgic movie, and say to yourself, I remember when I saw that. And so I've been going back and watching movies that I saw just once and forgot about, maybe mildly enjoyed, but just didn't think about anymore. And and also I've also gone back and looked at some movies that I never watched, that I didn't really have any interest in, but that I still remember. I remember when they were out, and so the whole idea of them functioning as nostalgia is kind of strange, but that's one of those things you just have to come to terms with again when you've lived a while. I feel like I've been talking a lot lately about what it's like to get old. I'm sorry if that's tedious to anyone out there, but it's been a preoccupation of mine of late for obvious reasons. So one movie that I never saw, because why the hell would I have seen it, is a movie called The Craft. This was made it came out in 1996. And the biggest name in it, well, I guess there were two. Skeet Ulrich, who was like a hot guy, but sort of a second tier Hollywood hot guy back in the day. And Neve Campbell is the other one. I think this is before, maybe a little bit before, or maybe around the same time, or maybe slightly after Scream, because this movie came out in 96, the same year that Scream came out. And so this was probably made before she achieved movie star status, when she was still on the TV show Party of Five, but hadn't gotten quite that much visibility yet. But the interesting thing is these are background characters in the movie. The main character, I don't even know her name. She's anyway. The movie is about these four teenage girls who are witches, who are dabbling in witchcraft, and it's really cool. And they're like outcasts at their school, and that's I could see Gen X girls who thought of themselves as outcasts, or who were outcasts, watching this and just thinking, yeah, that's me, I can relate to this, because they saw themselves, but also these four girls were all pretty, and they all could have been popular in the popular crowd easily, but in the movie they were these misfit types. Especially the main character, who, again, I don't know her. I don't know the actress's name that well. She was definitely the most attractive of the four of them. So the story is that this girl comes from a rich family. Her mother died when she was. Her mother died in childbirth when she was born, so she's racked with guilt over that. She's from this, again, wealthy family, and they moved down to LA. This was when LA was really a vogue. Like, LA is the cool place to be, like, who wouldn't want to live in LA? It's so glamorous. I mean, this Clueless was the year before. This is before LA became the shithole that it is now, and where everybody knows how shitty LA is now. This is before its precipitous fall, which is mirror the precipitous fall of so many other cities, particularly West Coast cities, like Portland or Seattle. It seems to have hit hardest on the West Coast, but really, it's happened a lot of places. It's happened all over the country. You know, just a growth in legions of homeless, mentally ill, drug addicts who live in tents and, you know, shit on the sidewalk and all that kind of stuff. Everything that you hear, all the stories of urban blight and urban decay. This was really before. I mean, this was the before time. This is when LA, sort of like I think I was talking about the movie. What was it? The vampire movie from 1987 with all the young hot male stars. What was that called? I can't remember the name of it right now, but you probably know the one that I mean, with Kiefer Sutherland and C. Thomas Howell and the Coreys and all that. That was they were also in LA, and it was like or near LA on a you know, a funky boho West Coast town that was really cool and really fun. Goonies, same thing. I mean, that was I think up in Oregon, but you know, seaside town. I mean, the West Coast had a lot more allure back in those days than I think it does today, frankly. And no shade at my West Coast homies. I'm just saying, it's not that it's that much better here on the East Coast. I'm just saying, there has been a precipitous fall. So yeah, so she's in a rich family. She goes to this wealthy Catholic school. So they're all in this Catholic school, but they're all witches, of course, figures, right? And the story is sort of, there isn't much of a story. You know, I was interested in this movie, but I wasn't that entertained because there wasn't really that much of what we pretentious people call a through line. You know, something that keeps you involved and invested in what's going on. It was very episodic. You know, each of the girls had her own problem, and they turned to witchcraft to try to make their lives better. And yeah, they did, and you know, it's portrayed as cool. It's portrayed as they're part of this, you know, hip bohemian sort of scene, even though they're all wealthy, I guess, except one of them, the creepiest of them all, the Fariza Balk character, who I don't know why maybe she's there on a scholarship, I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, like one of them doesn't like that her mom's a slut and doesn't like that she's white trash. One of them is being picked on by a really mean girl, and wants to get back at her through magic. One of them has this problem with these scars that keep forming on her back, and so the skin on her back is all blotchy, and it makes her very self-conscious. And so through magic, you know, it just comes off. And then there's the main girl who's like this witch by temperament. Like, we get the sense we get is that her mother was a witch, and she is just a natural born witch. It just comes to her naturally. She doesn't really have to work at it the same way the others do. But she's still, you know, so she's the new girl in town, but then she joins up with these three other weirdo outcasts, and that's basically it. What I think is interesting about the movie is just how openly it you know, it is endorsing witchcraft and witchery. And there's pictures of, there's the one eye symbol, there's the pentagram symbol. They of course declaim being, they say they aren't Satanists. They laugh at the idea that they're Satanists, that's supposedly something that just can be dismissed out of hand. But what they're doing is, I don't think it could be called good magic, if there is such a thing, because the spells that they cast and the incantations that they take part in, the rituals that they take part in, again, it's all about getting stuff for themselves. And it becomes, I guess, a kind of cautionary tale, because there's this older woman who, well, not really older, she was just like in her 40s, younger than I am now, but this sort of mother hen figure who runs this witchcraft store, this bookstore, this store that has books about witchcraft and witchcraft related paraphernalia, candles and whatnot. She warns them, that you need to strike a balance, and you need to not go overboard, because ultimately it's going to come back at you three times as hard if you use the magic in an irresponsible way, which I guess means to hurt other people, which they do on many occasions. Then that's going to come back at them. It's going to come back and hurt them. It's going to be 3 times worse when it happens to them. So that's, and near the end of the story, all of the girls in this friend group, except our heroine, they all become just really mean and vicious and drunk on their power, and so I guess things take a slight turn there at the end, but it's very corny, it's very silly, and again, it's very, I don't know if today they would be quite so brazen about the witchy stuff. It's a little, because I think today there are enough people out there critiquing that stuff, noticing that stuff in movies and elsewhere, they kind of have to be a little bit sneakier and more clever about it. In this movie, it's just everywhere. It's openly endorsing witchcraft. The other interesting thing about The Craft is the parallel with the movie that's the big movie of the summer, Obsession, that I haven't seen, but my understanding is that this guy makes a wish on with some some relic that's supposed to have magical properties. He makes a wish that the girl of his dreams will fall in love with him, and in the movie, the main girl has a crush on this supremely douchey, but charming and in a douchey sort of way, jock, the Skeet Ulrich character. And what's interesting about that is he, treats her horribly. He asks her out pretending to be nice, and they kiss a little bit, and then he wants to take her home and do her. She doesn't want to do that. She turns him down, saying, I'm not ready for that. But she doesn't reject him. She still likes him. She just doesn't want to give it up to him on the first date. And then the next day, of course, he tells everybody that they did it, and everybody in the school believes him because he's the cool guy. And so she puts a spell on him where he's in love with her, and wants to be with her at all times, and is obsessed with her. And he'll carry her books for him and do all kinds of stuff, all kinds of demeaning stuff, and not care about it. And the girls, chuckle about this, this revenge that she's getting. And meanwhile, his friends, the jock's friends, are going, what is up with you, man? What is wrong with you? That story does not end. That story ends tragically, as far as it coming back on them. And but I just think it sounds like very much a parallel to the premise, the entire premise of Obsessed, where she's put the spell on him, and he's got no control now, and she can't undo it. She wants to undo it because he's being a pain. He's showing up at all hours of the night, pleading to spend time with her, and also because she's aware that this isn't right, that this is a demeaning thing, and that she still likes him even though he's a dick. I don't know. That's an interesting. You wouldn't see that in movies today. You wouldn't see a guy be a total jerk, and then the girl still likes him, even though he shows no real sign of being anything but an asshole. I guess, it wasn't as important even in a girl power movie like this, it wasn't as important to show that girls can be silly. Girls and guys both, but in this case, this girl can just get so caught up in how the crush she has on this guy, that she still wants to be with him. She still wants him to be in love with her, even though he's absolutely not deserving of it. And after what he did, after the way he treated her, she shouldn't want to be with him. She should want nothing to do with him. So that's the last. Let me see if there's anything else to say about The Craft. Yeah, it's a pretty wild movie, but I had a hard time getting through it to the very end. For some reason, I stuck it out, watched it to the end, and man, it's so the little things like having a soundtrack where it's all just pop music, where it's all alternative pop music is the soundtrack for the movie. That seems so corny now. To just have during this dramatic scene, let's have a song by Letters to Cleo. During this dramatic scene, let's have a song by I don't know, some other band that was hip and trendy in the mid-90s. It's like that whole style of filmmaking seems to have been abandoned, or that kind of idea of having a a movie where practically not the whole thing, but practically the at least 3/4 of the entire soundtrack are just hearing rock songs that are trendy at that time. Not just one. Today you'd have a movie where maybe one song is used, or I guess that at some point along the way, like with Martin Scorsese or Paul Thomas Anderson and Boogie Nights especially, that there were a lot of there's a lot of contemporary songs, rock music or pop music or whatever, but it's cleverly chosen, and it's not stuff that's just, let's put this on because it's a cool song now and the kids will like hearing it because this is a cool song now. We want to promote that we signed a deal with the company that, that's putting this particular band or this particular artist out. So let's just stick this song in here, whether it fits or not. Whereas in a movie like Boogie Nights, which has a big rock soundtrack, the songs all seem to be well chosen, and they all propel the story forward. They're all appropriate. When Dirk Diggler goes to the first party of the porn people, and he gets into a fight with his mom, and then goes to this party. The song that plays over the soundtrack is "Mama Told Me Not to Come," which it fits the time period, and it also fits what's going on in the scene. There wasn't that kind of intelligence being used in these kinds of movies, especially movies that were made for teenagers. They just wanted to have all these songs in them because, just to, again, not because it furthers the plot or really is appropriate for the moment or even really fits the moment. A lot of cases, the songs are just distracting. It's like, turn the damn music down. I don't care about this song. The song is annoying. Let me hear what they're saying. So those are my thoughts on The Craft. Have y'all seen it? What do you think?